We've got a fantastic session for you today, talking about all things Microsoft Catalyst. Obviously, that's as long as you are interested in change, business improvements, or those dreaded words, digital transformation. Some housekeeping. We'll have some time for questions at the end. I've put a section in, but also please feel free to post a question in the chat window, where one of my team will endeavour to answer it. So I don't know whether you saw today that Microsoft announced some incredible results this week, and Satya Nadella cited that they are driven by what he calls a second wave of digital transformation. And in the last 6 months, over 1,000 customers worldwide have now requested a Catalyst workshop. And in the UK, that's over 120 organisations now. It's not every day that Microsoft gives away free money, but today is certainly one of those days. So I'm delighted to be joined by Ellery Gibbon. Ellery's spent a good long time in the IT industry. I won't tell you how long now, and the last couple and a half years at Microsoft. Ellery is part of the UK extended leadership team at Microsoft and leads the field specialist team. And Donal, hi Donal. Donald's been at Microsoft for 14 years as part of the BizApps community for the last 10. He's worked across a number of the partner organisations and operations, Western Europe, EMEA Digital, and now looks after the UK CE BizApps specialist, which he reliably informs me is his favourite job to date. And then allow me to also introduce Jenny of the London Clinic, who's going to give a customer's perspective of what going through the Catalyst process is actually like. So the agenda is fairly simple today. It contains 3 sections. Ellery and Donal are going to talk about why Catalyst and at a high level. And then I'm going to give you some details about what the Catalyst program actually is. And then we're going to hear from Jenny, one of our customers who's recently been through that process. So let's get moving. Let me hand over to you first, Ellery.
Thanks, Adam, for the very kind introductions there, and look, for the opportunity to have Donal and I join you here today. So we're both really fortunate actually to lead teams that work right across many industries, and look, there's no doubt that we saw an acceleration in digital transformation over the past few years. But the pandemic itself has certainly been a forcing function for organisations to really have to think about becoming a much more agile business, rethinking their processes and reorganising themselves completely for a much more digital world to ensure, look, they're not only thinking about surviving the current climate, but thriving. And we've seen examples of that right across many industries. So today, as Adam mentioned, we're introducing our Catalyst framework to you, which helps facilitate that business transformation. To hear more from our senior leadership team on Catalyst, we'll just play this short video. Adam, if you can do the honours.
Adam, I think the volume, the share audio, we need to click.
You might need to reshare, Adam, and tick the box on the audio.
Ooh. So try that again. Could you not hear the sound there?
No, you might need to reshare, unshare your screen, Adam, and then reshare and tick the box.
Let's go again. Let me know, Neil, if you can hear it, right?
Just press that button, that volume button. Yeah, there we go.
Digital transformation is real across every industry. It's driving changes in the way we engage our customers and the nature of our products and services. It's forcing every company to rethink their processes. And as companies do that, industries are literally reorganizing. Transformation isn't easy, but it's absolutely necessary for all companies to compete and remain relevant. We have developed Microsoft Catalyst. an innovative approach to help businesses conceive and realize their most ambitious priorities. Catalyst facilitates business transformation, employing the full breadth of Microsoft Dynamics 365 and the Microsoft Cloud. It is based on our IDEA framework, which encapsulates proven service offerings across the 4 key areas: inspire, design, empower, and achieve.
Microsoft Catalyst seeks to help our customers understand and prepare for disruptive changes that can impact your business. We do this through a series of activities that are likely more holistic and progressive than you would do on your own or that maybe you're even accustomed to. But by incorporating broadly accepted concepts from Harvard Business School, McKinsey, and others, we identify what digital disruption means for your organization and your customer value proposition. Engaging a diverse set of stakeholders through envisioning techniques opens the conversation to produce creative and meaningful ways to modernize how things are done while solving for the why and quantifying the business value. And when we bring all of this together, the result is an actionable plan that aligns around your digital story.
Microsoft Catalyst begins with strategy development activities. These are designed to help us understand company priorities and to ideate on how technology can help activate the digital feedback loop, a seamless connection between your customers, people, products, and operations, enabling your digital transformation. Once defined, we move from strategy to solutioning through an envisioning workshop. This design thinking session is a proven approach, combining creative and critical thinking, fostering ideation, and organizing those ideas to drive decision-making and situational improvement. We employ this approach with you to envision a future state. The output is the observation model, validating the digital feedback loop.
Now we investigate existing processes and technologies and begin to shape our perspective on organizational readiness for the future state. We align these to our global and industry benchmarks and define measurable business impact like quantified customer engagement improvements, a representation of solution costs, and key measurements like revenue growth, cost saving, and potential employee efficiency improvement. Our plan now starts to illustrate the path forward by prioritizing solution components based on business impact.
This is where everything comes together. What makes Microsoft Catalyst unique is the way in which we communicate that path forward, by creating visual assets and immersive experiences that you can use to tell your digital story throughout your organization. Who is affected? And what is the experience? How will you address change and mitigate risk? And what is the expected, quantifiable business impact? These are all components of the digital strategy and an executive discussion where Microsoft and your organization align on commitments and partnership.
And now we shift from envisioning to execution. And this is where Microsoft expands the team to include resources to facilitate change, technical deployment, and measure the value that's realized by the success of the solution.
Many organizations have a strong need for a technology partner who can help them prioritize where to start investing and rethink how digital may transform their business. Microsoft Catalyst fills that role.
So I can hear some people talking in the background. It'd be great if you could just, if you're not asking a question, just mute yourself. That'd be fantastic. Donald, I think you're picking it up from here.
Sure, thanks, Adam. Yeah, so look, I think we all know the need to transform digitally is now an imperative. I think we also know that digital transformation looks very different for every company and actually across every industry. So I think events such as the COVID pandemic and Brexit has meant that for many organizations, doing nothing is not really a viable option. So when announcing our quarterly results yesterday evening, Satya Nadella noted, and I think Adam alluded to it earlier, so what we have witnessed over the past year is the dawn of a second wave of digital transformation, sweeping every company and every industry. And certainly within Microsoft, in the UK, across EMEA and globally, that's what our teams are seeing, that's what our teams are hearing. And as a consequence of that, the company is investing heavily to partner with our customers as we go through those digital transformations together. We have a team of specialists both in Dublin and in the Thames Valley area who are ready and waiting to help you guys with that digital transformation. So if we can move to the next slide, Adam. So in terms of kind of the next click down into what Catalyst is doing. So the pace of this change is accelerating. And as I say, Microsoft wants to be there to help you manage through it. And that's why we've launched Catalyst. So what Microsoft is doing with Catalyst is really to provide a framework that de-risks that transformational process by focusing in and supporting you through 4 key stages of the journey. And we do that with our trusted partners such as ANS. So just to take one click, the next click down, if we move to the next slide, Adam. So there's really 4 key milestones. So in Inspire, that's where we'll start by finding the transformation strategy that's right for you. So we define and prioritize your strategy using development activities, then foster ideation and drive decision making within an envisioning workshop. At that point, we then move to design. So that's where we're building a compelling case for change by discussing business and technological impact. During this, you'll quantify the return on investment, other financial benefits that include revenue growth, cost savings, and employee efficacies. And at that point, we move into empower. So this is where we will help others across your organization see the value in your business transformation. And that could be a department within an organization, or it could be at an organizational level. But we want to be able really to help others in your org see the value. So that will involve virtual assets, immersive experiences, promoting buy-in and getting alignment on commitments, so that, you know, in partnership with Microsoft, you, the customer, and our partner ANS, we move on to the achieve phase. And in this final stage, we go from envisioning to execution. So here we will bring in the resources you need to execute your strategy and carry out your business transformation across departments. And then, of course, measure its success. So that's kind of a quick scope across the top of what Catalyst is. At this point, I'm going to hand back to Larry, who will talk a little bit about ANS, our trusted partner, and then we'll move into more detail with Adam. So back to you, Larry.
Thanks, Donal. And yeah, just before I hand back to Adam, I'm sure many of you on the call have worked with Microsoft over the years will know we've got a really strong partner strategy. We've got high expectations. We raise the bar every year. We don't always make it easy for our partners, but since 2006, ANS has been a really committed partner to Microsoft, kept pace with some of our most stringent accreditations, with experience across many industries, making it really easy for us to partner, as Donal's just mentioned. So really, without further ado, I promised Adam we wouldn't be more than 5 to 10 minutes. As far as the Microsoft piece is, we shall hand back to ANS now, Adam, and we'll let you go through some more detail.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Donal. Thanks both. And so the next section is I'm just going to have a quick chat about what actually the Catalyst program is in a little bit more detail. And for those who don't know, a quick couple of slides on who ANS are. Really, ANS focuses on three main areas: cloud, applications, and data. So we start with helping our customers get a move to the cloud and get more value from the cloud. And then we're trying to help them improve their customer experience or business processes with the applications. And then what we're trying to do is help them understand and get value from the data, ultimately making better decisions and getting close to their customers. It wouldn't be a presentation from a provider without a great list of customers that I'm not going to walk through, obviously. But if you want some more information, or you see anybody on there that you recognize, please talk to either your Microsoft account manager or your ANS account manager. It's just safe to say at the moment that our business is split really 50-50, public sector and private sector. So we're bringing a lot of experience across multiple industries to all the people that we're working with at the moment. Couple of things about ANS that we're really proud of that I needed to shout about. So we're the 2020 Microsoft UK Partner of the Year finalist, and we're also the CRM Cloud Services Provider of the Year. Multiple accreditations around Microsoft Gold Partnership in Dynamics, in data, and in Azure. Really working hard with those customers in order to help them on that journey that they seem to be on. So Getting down into some level of detail, what is the Microsoft Catalyst program? Well, Microsoft have got funding available to organizations up to $10,000, and they can spend that in one of three ways. So as Donald mentioned earlier, the first one is an envisioning workshop and a solution assessment. Or people can go for a business value assessment, building the return on investment, and the solution assessment, or they can go for all three at once, depending on where they are in the journey. We've done many of these now, and many people start with number two because they have some concepts of what they think are the business issues or the business outcomes they're looking to achieve, and some understanding of how some technology could help them in that regard. Now, this isn't a new concept, but what Microsoft have done is packaged it up quite nicely. But A&S have been doing this for a number of years now, and this is our sort of standard evaluation or process that we go through. So whilst we've been doing it for a number of years, you can see on the slide some discovery calls and then moving into the Envisioning Workshop. And the Envisioning Workshop really answers the three whys. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it now? And what's it going to mean to you? And then the solution assessment answers the question of what does that solution look like and how much is it going to cost? So Donald mentioned earlier, this is all about design thinking, and design thinking, if you understand or have used it before, is really helping customers make decisions based on what they really want, instead of relying on historical data or making risky bets based on instinct or with a lack of evidence. And design thinking brings together what's desirable from a human point of view and what's technically feasible and economically viable. So those three things: desirability, feasibility, and viability. So we work to a timeline that's within a 90-day period. After we've got the funding approved from Microsoft, Envisioning Workshop, Envisioning Playback, Business Value Workshop, Playback again for the business value, Solution Assessment, Playback as well. So the Envisioning Workshop, and the concept is relatively simple, as you saw from the video, where we're pooling the challenges across the business, and we start wide and we aim to get narrow. So generally, we start with our customers because we understand a lot of the industries that we're working in, with some predefined affinity clustered industry top 10 business outcomes, which I have an example of later on. And then we're prioritizing what those top 10 business outcomes are in terms of importance, difficulty, value, and impact. And then what we're trying to do is distill those down into the three that are specific to you, that are going to make a big difference in your organization. We're using some collaborative tools like Klaxon or Teams whiteboards to enable this to run effectively. We're remotely engaging. All of this is done remotely. Our business model has, for the last 10 years, been remote collaboration. So we're fortunate in that regard that we've built all our processes around that. And the good thing about the Envisioning Workshop is everybody gets to contribute, everybody gets to vote, it's all the collective views coming together on what those business values and those business outcomes might be. And the reason we do the business outcomes is for three real stages. The first one is justification of the project, defining what the high-level business outcomes are, the why, understanding and costing out the benefits that people might get at that high level, and building a robust return on investment. But it shouldn't stop there. And the reason we put these business outcomes in the middle of the projects that we do as well is to focus the project team at a high level, to build out those tactics in order to achieve the ROI within the project, and then to measure that in dashboards or in Power BI. So we measure the effectiveness, and as we're going through that journey, we're measuring how we're doing against the return on investment. And then obviously after go live in these projects, we're measuring the business outcomes that we've already decided, the return on investment, did we get it, and making those continuous feedback loops. So an example of some of the top 10 business outcomes that we've seen, and what we've done here is we've worked with a whole load of customers across a number of different industries, And we have these affinity clustered top 10s. And these are the result of what people have told us that they are most interested in. So, for example, as a housing provider, some of them may be interested in measuring void management, or that their repairs are taking too long, or their facilities management and their supply chain of that isn't up to scratch. And some of us have even told them that one of the things that the housing providers are trying to do now is develop a surplus and some new revenue streams with their housing assets. So we have these for a number of different industries, and we generally start here. And the reason we've chosen to start with these is it's much easier to critique and start getting people talking than it is sometimes to start with a blank piece of paper. And then the other one that we look into as part of the envisioning and the business outcome sessions are the biggest cost of all, which we see every day, is the cost of doing nothing. So, you know, for example, if we do nothing, then we lose share to competition, or we lose market share, or we're not converting enough, or we're increasing manual administration, decreasing productivity by switching tasks. And as part of the business value exercise, we're going to dig into what is the cost of actually not doing anything in these scenarios. And then we move on to what's a business value workshop. Well, once we've already got the business outcomes and we understand the three or four things that are going to make the biggest impact to you, we're trying to get those to make sense in a business case for change that enable the success to be measured. And once we've got those business outcomes, we're really now digging into the economic impact of resolving those challenges. What is it actually going to mean to your organization if you focus your attention on those business outcomes and resolve those challenges? And is there then a financial impact? And the key metrics that we're trying to get to is, you know, is there a cost saving? Is there an associated increase in revenue or net promoter score or customer satisfaction? And that manifests itself in an output whereby you can see an example on the screen here of we're trying to build a business case that is financially robust in order to help organizations understand the impact of solving those business outcomes that stacks up at the executive level. But we shouldn't stop there. So once and here on screen is an example of somebody 12 months on. So what I said at the beginning is we needed to measure the improvements that we had at the beginning of the project all the way through to the end of the project, and then 12 months on after that. So you can see that some business outcomes that the company here wanted to achieve. There's some technology that we put towards it. There's also some tactics that we measure of a baseline and then an increase that we want, and how we're going to get from A to B, so that we can measure the return on investment, not just at the beginning of the project, but 12 months on. Have we achieved it? And has it been a good use of everybody's time and money? And have we made those business improvements that we really wanted? And that's really the output 12 months on from the business outcomes and understanding the financial implications. And then we move on to what a solution assessment workshop looks like, and many people will be familiar with this. So the concept is to understand the business processes and the technical requirements in order to provide some assurance on the solution and the business value aims. But what we're trying to get to is really get down into what does the solution look like, and how much is it going to cost us to do that, over what time frame, and how would we approach such a project to do that based on solving these critical business outcome problems. So that's a quick run through of the Catalyst program at some detail. So just to recap, Catalyst funded program from Microsoft up to $10,000 for A&S to come and do one of those three stages. Those three stages are an envisioning and solution workshop, or a business value and solution assessment, or all three of those: envisioning, business value, and solution assessment. Okay, so I'm absolutely delighted now to welcome Jenny, one of our customers, to give a real life view of what it's like to go through that that catalyst process. So, Jenny, are you with me?
I'm here.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So I wonder for our audience today, if you could just simply start by giving us an introduction into who the London Clinic are.
Yeah, we are a charity in a hospital in London. We're one of the largest privately run hospitals in London. We're based around Harley Street, and we have a large hospital. As I said, we have 10 theatres, about 220, 230 beds there. We have 2 main sites with a few minor sites where we do consultancy day cases. We specialise in gastro, cancer, always say MSK, basically bones and bodies, as I would say, work. Yeah, we've been going, I said we're private, started 1932, so there's a little bit of history behind us. We're a big site, and I'm proud to say at the moment that we had been an NHS hospital during the pandemic, and we've got about 30% of our theatres that we're allowing the NHS to come and do work, and we've got some of our we have our own ICU unit, and we've got some beds there that we're partnering with different trusts in London to help out.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So how did you hear about the Microsoft the Catalyst program then? How did it come about? Tell us the story.
Well, the story. So I'm fairly new to the London Clinic. I started May last year, and talking to some of our key stakeholders, we realised that one of the programs that we needed to kick off was a CRM, a new CRM system, and our CIO has been in place just over a year. So we've got a very new, dynamic, and digitally focused senior leadership team in the IT department. So our CIO was talking with Microsoft, and they kindly suggested that we could engage with the Catalyst programs. So for our CRM, and we said yes, please, and hence along came ANS.
So why did you think that this might be a good exercise for the London Clinic then?
I think from what I said earlier, that we were a new team and we didn't have that expertise. We had our marketing team had used CRMs. You know, I've come across CRMs before, a lot of us had, but we didn't have that that knowledge and expertise to look at what we needed and how we could actually implement it and fast track it. So, you know, that was how we thought we could get some help.
And so you know, everybody goes into these engagement with different expectations and different hopes. So what were you trying to hope to get out of it?
I think that we would have the information and the backing to put a good business case forward. I'm quite cynical. I don't think my hopes were that high. I've got quite a hard taskmaster when it comes to dealing with third parties. And I thought, well, maybe we'll get a bit of information and that will help us for the business case. So that was the most that I hope we would get out of this when we started it.
So obviously my next question is, so how do you think the process went from your perspective then? Given that we had a low bar to jump over, you know, I hope we did that.
Oh no, it was amazing. It really was. I mean, I've worked in 3 countries and been involved in lots of different business cases, and this was probably the best way to put a business case together that I've ever seen. It was really, really powerful, the work that we did with the ANS.
And I know that Donal mentioned it earlier around the interesting thing about this particular process is it's not just in IT normally, and it has a number of different stakeholders. So were you surprised at the level of engagement that TLC brought to the table from a number of different departments?
Yeah, I think one of the things when you're doing a business case, particularly when it's an IT or digital system, that you tend to look at what you think you can find from the business about what the business benefit would be. And it can be quite hard to do that. And I think when we started discussing, you know, with yourselves, what information we need to get into the business case, luckily marketing were already involved. We thought, well, we'll just go straight to the people who know the numbers. So we got our finance team in, we got marketing, we do some self-pay work, so we got the self-pay team involved, and it was all the SMEs in each of those areas came along and got involved.
and it started. It built its own momentum, doesn't it? So as soon as they started getting involved, they wanted to be involved. So you know, what just share for the people on the call, what type of outputs did you actually get then?
Well, when we started looking at the actual modelling and what the benefits could be, I mean, it was absolutely fascinating being on the calls when you hear your senior leaders talking about, well, if we improved, you know, if we could get, as part of the CRM program, we could get improvements in, for instance, difference in rooms that people book, and looking at menus and how much revenue that could be. And I think it was just the overall conversations that were going on regarding all the information that we could actually put into that business case to come out with the benefits. I mean, it was surprising. I mean, we've come out, we think that we can make 10 to 11 million in revenue benefits over 5 years if we do it properly. I mean, it was astounding how much we would never have got that doing it ourselves. I mean, we looked at small numbers, large numbers.
Do you think it was, and one of the things that has been really good working with you guys as well is because there was so many of those stakeholders involved, it became their business case rather than a business case that somebody was doing to you.
Yeah, and that's, as I said earlier, I mean, that was the beauty of it. And now that everyone's saying, well, don't forget, because we've got that benefit or that revenue there or the cost saving, and everyone feels, as you said, that they own it. It's a business case, not something that IT's trying to, you know, drag the business along to get some numbers out of them.
So so what did you like about it, other than Neil, obviously, from A&S and Simon?
We couldn't have done it without Neil. No, Neil and Simon were key to everything, and we couldn't have done it without Neil. I think it was just the level of engagement, and it was, all the workshops were very open. There was nothing was out of bounds when it came to discussion of what we could do, how we could do it, the benefits that we could realize. Even when we were discussing the way that we should implement it, what areas of the business, because without a CRM system, those of you who have them, you know, you're probably going, how can you run a business these days in 21st century without CRM? You know, what areas that we should look at first? And I think you had already had expertise in healthcare. That really helped us as well to understand, you know, how we should, not just the benefits, but maybe the order in which we should be delivering as well.
So, what advice would you give to an organisation thinking about this process, given that you've already stated, Jenny, that you had low expectations to start with?
I mean, I can't say enough good things about it, and no, I'm not being paid to say this. It was so well done. It was well run. You can see people walking around now, the passion of getting the CRM system in, and I think it's just embrace it, I think is my my advice, and make sure you have the correct SMEs there. If you are in part of this process, it's a business process. Even though IT may be running it, it really has to be owned by the whole business, all the stakeholders who are going to benefit from the, you know, whatever system or you know, part of Dynamics you're implementing. So it's and get a good person to organise meetings. Sorry.
Yes, well, that is one of the key things, isn't it? Yes. And you did a great job with that. Not that you wanted to, I might add, by the way, but it is important, isn't it, to get the right level of people with the right understanding of the business, and the people who are actually thinking about how can we do things better and how can we make our organisation a little bit better to cope with what's going to be happening for the next few years. So a couple more questions, if I may. So how does it help you drive that CRM decision process internally at the London Clinic?
Well, it was interesting because when I started last year, CRM was something in the future. By the time it gets going, because we started the Catalyst program in, I think it was October, well, August, September. By the time we actually kicked it off, it was October. So by then we knew that we had it in our budget for this year. And in fact, it was in the second half of this year. And with the work that we've done, this is one of the top priority projects that we need to get started. And it's been recognized in the business how valuable this solution will be. So what it's given to us is an amazing business case to want us to expedite the actual implementation of it and, you know, bring it forward even in this financial year.
Which is stunning, isn't it? You know, the everybody gets behind it. It's a business case for the business, by the business, and they're pushing it forward now.
The business wants it, yeah.
The business. Well, it's amazing what happens when the business wants it, isn't it? So what's happened now with the outputs? What have you actually? Obviously, we provide you with some documentation and some numbers and things like that. And what have you done with the business outcomes that you've all agreed and the business case that we've now built for you?
That's all gone into our funding request, which is actually going to our investment committee tomorrow to be approved, we hope, so that we can move forward. And I think without the ROIs and the stats we had, as I said, it wouldn't have been expedited. We wouldn't have been able to put the business case together with such a powerful, I suppose, revenue modeling, savings, etc. in it. Yeah, and it saved us probably 6 to 8 months of trying to get a business case together, and just shifted it right to the beginning of this year now.
Well, fantastic. Great story, Jenny, and fingers crossed for tomorrow that you all get it approved and you can move forward with the implementation. So just conscious of time, I wanted to ask the audience if there's any questions that they had that they wanted to share. Obviously, this is a fairly with a number of different people on how difficult thing to do. I can see one hand up or a couple. So,
Paul, do you want to go first?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. Question for Jenny, actually.
Yep, far away.
Just wondered what the CRM systems you looked at, and what was the winning factor for Dynamics.
I think the head of marketing, he looked at several systems. I'd come across Salesforce before, and we are very much we've moved over the past, well, since our new CIO to become a Microsoft shop, and we knew from experience that looking at Salesforce, we'd need a bigger team to support it. And I think it was the flexibility of Dynamics, the fact that it is one of our platforms that we're using, Microsoft Suite, we're trying to move forward to, and I think it's easier and more, I won't say, I think when you need Salesforce, you need a larger team to support it. You can't be so self-sufficient, I think, with Salesforce. So that was our internal decisions as why we went with Microsoft.
Okay.
Did that answer?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're literally going through this process at the moment. We're sort of looking at different systems and what have you, and we're already down a path with ANS in terms of migrating our infrastructure to the cloud and also our data warehouse into Azure as well. So from that point of view, it makes sense to us, but I'm just interested to know, if you looked at anything else, because there's a lot of options out there. There's all sorts of different price points and what have you. It is a bit of a minefield. Yes,
it is. It is. We knew, well, I think because of the nature of our business, we knew that we needed even though we're not a large company, we needed a robust system. And we've got a huge digital transformation going on at the moment. I think within the next 5 years, we probably would have replaced the majority, if not all, of our systems. Yeah. So we've got some very old legacy systems. So we do want systems that can, play nicely together, as it were. So I think Microsoft obviously is a platform for that for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask, actually, sorry, I don't want to steal all the limelight, but are you looking at it from a perspective of the finance and operations and HR and all that sort of stuff potentially in the future as well?
Yeah, I mean, we currently have one system that does finance. Well, it does all our medical systems, not our clinical, but the medical records and our finance systems in one. So we're looking at replacing those over the next few years. I think our HR systems are actually separate. We've already got that in a separate system at the moment. It'll probably stay there for a number of years. So I think because we've got so much transformation to do, we're trying to understand now whether we have to do a big lift and shift to the current system that we've got to upgrade that, or we go for best of breed. And I think we're leaning for best of breed. And I think this is the first step on that journey to that best of breed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks both.
Sophia, you got your hand up as well.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. So we're in the preliminary stages of our digital transformation, and as the gentleman just said before me, we are looking at a different number of CRM platforms. But one of the biggest sticking points for me is legacy IT systems currently in place. How does Catalyst actually support businesses in actually identifying what these systems are? And moving forward, how would these systems change if we were to move in Dynamics?
Do you want me to answer that, Jenny, or do you want to answer that?
Yeah, you can answer that, because I was about to say we have just one system, so it's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, this big monolithic system, so we have one main place where the data is. That's a problem in itself, trying to get the data from there into, we can get it over, but getting it back into our system is an issue. So we've only got really one problem, big problem. So over to Adam for problems.
So Sophia, great question. Thanks very much. So as you can imagine, every company that we come across, they're not a greenfield site, and they already have legacy, depending on how old it is, or what language it's written on, or how you can get the data out, or where you're going to put the data. So as part of the solution assessment, and as part of that, those technical reviews, we will have a look at all of your estate and how that's going to impact on whether you want to carry on with those systems and just take data out of them and load it into CRM, or where some people are going, and this is maybe where Paul's going as well, is they're building sort of a data lake and a data reservoir of putting all the data in that, and then sitting CRM on top of that and other systems in order to make sure that they've got a really good place to share data. So answer to your question succinctly, it comes as part of the functional requirements in the solution assessment in Catalyst, where we have a look at your whole estate and understand what integrations or what data that you've got and where it needs to be.
Brilliant, thank you.
I think I might just add to that as well. I think another element to this is the first bit of this process, which is the design-led thinking. What we try and do is at the start is avoid that issue of what legacy application you've got altogether in the conversation, and really start from the beginning about what are your users trying to do and what are you trying to achieve with your customers, and have that thought process come from there first, and then as you start to, that helps you start to go a bit wider. Then we start to focus in when we get to the solution assessment about how we can deliver on those aspirations with the different technologies that are available. Yes, Dynamics 365 is part of that, but obviously the wider Power Platform with Power Apps, Power Automate, and even all the technologies that are available in Azure really start to be the tools that we've got in our tool bag, that we say, right, we can do this bit with that tool and this bit with that tool and achieve this outcome with that particular piece as well.
Is that part of your design thinking framework?
Yeah, it's very much so. I mean, what we try, and it will vary on a customer to customer basis, but we try and lend our experience in your particular industry or vertical based on what we've done before. So that's why we're helping you maybe give you those ideas of the top 10 outcomes that we've seen other companies in your vertical, sort of try to tackle. And if that works, but if that's not quite where you want to be, then we can take that step back and really start from that white piece of paper with the design-led thinking and just explore the problem and really start to, avoid solutionizing as much as possible before we need to.
Thank you.
And I'll add that was that, I missed that. That is really key, because we looked at the capabilities we needed to deliver, not the solution itself to start with, and we worked from what were the 3 key capabilities we need to deliver from a CRM, which is how we ended up getting to what we needed to deliver first.
Fine. I don't think I can see any more hands. I'm sure there's lots and lots of questions, but if you are interested in this program, then please drop me a quick email. Let me put that on screen for you. No, maybe I won't do that. I've already got rid of it. My email is adam.spur, SPURR, ansgroup.co.uk, or please do reach out to your Microsoft account manager or one of your ANS account managers and register your interest so that we can have another conversation about it. Wanted to thank you all for your time. Incredibly grateful for you spending some time with us. Jenny, you've been an absolute star. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Donal. Thank you, Larry. and hope you have a great rest of the day and stay safe. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Adam.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.